What up, everybody? This is your boy Dedrian Colon from House of Wrestling, and this is my review for the May 27th episode of AEW Rampage. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. Man, this episode of AEW Rampage, for one, it was live. This was you could say, the go home show or go home show part B show or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, this was the Rampage before AEW's Double or Nothing this Sunday. You could tell the crowd was in it. This was from Las Vegas, of course. I liked it. The crowd, the energy, being live. The show did start early. It started at 5:30 Central Standard Time, which I have no problem with. I like watching Rampage before SmackDown. It's just something about watching SmackDown first, then Rampage is just like, ugh. But no, this was a pretty solid Rampage. There are a few things that, we did get another 2 matches added, so I believe there's at least 13 matches for Double or Nothing, which is that's a lot of matches. I do hope that AEW, more specifically Tony Khan, has an intermission, because I don't know if some of these matches, more than one match is going to be a squash match, but that's a lot of wrestling for one show. Granted, they do pay-per-views that are quarterly, but man, that is a lot of wrestling for one show. And let's face it, the last few, you could say, months, man, you could go back to literally you could go as far back as, you could say, Full Gear, where the Dynamites and Rampages have been, there's just something's off. And by something is just either the pacing is off, the timing is off, the finishes for some matches are off. Just the storylines are just like, some of them are just, all right, okay, cool. Some segments that you anticipate the crowd to do something, there's nothing, or there's fatigue. We still see that the women, most of the time, are either wrestling in the third or fourth match. They've rarely wrestled in the first or second match on Dynamite. And then on Rampage, some of the matches are just squash matches, and just like, I don't know, it's just weird. Yeah, Double or Nothing this Sunday. It's a stacked card. Don't get me wrong. It's a stacked card, but man, I hope they have an intermission. If they do not have an intermission, that is going to be a major issue going forward, because let's face it, a lot of the fans who support and watch AEW, a lot of us, and I'm including myself in this, like, a lot of stuff is just like they weren't doing before, and it's just like, hey, like, you guys are missing the attention to details. If you give the crowd maybe a 15-minute break, intermission, or something like that, just get somebody performing. You have rappers there, like, let them perform. But man, if there's no intermission, man, there's going to be a major issue regarding it, because the one thing, and I'll get into this review, but this ties into this Rampage show, because there's going to be certain matches, because the crowd haven't had a break, that you would anticipate the crowd to be more vocal and just like into it, but because they've experienced 3 matches that have gone on for whatever, 20, 25, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just like, all right, yeah. And, that's really going to throw things off. I don't care how much, oh, I thought it was a good match. Yeah, you thought it was a good match because you put it together. But at the same time, hey, the wrestling fans, like, you got to be mindful of that. Granted, it is a holiday weekend, but you have to be mindful of, the fans having an intermission. But this Rampage, the opening match, I love this match. It was Bryan Danielson, Matt Sydal. When I saw this match, again, Matt Sydal's work, in the WWE, he was amazing. Usually when you have matchups like this with the caliber and the skill set and the experience of Bryan Danielson and Matt Sydal, you're going to get some pretty cool reversals and counters, and just you're going to get some really cool creativity in the match that you're just like, that's a good one. Ooh, that's a good one. And this match did not disappoint. This was a stellar match. 3 moves that stood out to me was the reverse front snapmare by Matt Sydal, the single leg crab on a reversal from the Meteor by Bryan Danielson, and then the top rope sunset flip powerbomb by Matt Sydal. That was dope. I recommend you guys check this out, the match between Bryan Danielson and Matt Sydal. This was so much fun to watch, especially with the weather. It's Friday, there's a holiday, it's, in the Midwest, it's 5:30 Central. So in the West Coast, let's say, it's 3:30. Man, this was just a fun match to watch and just kick back and just like, all right, man, this is cool. And what added to this match was William Regal on commentary, and I like the line that Regal used when he was talking to Excalibur, like, yeah, myself and Bryan Danielson, we wrestled Matt Sydal before, so we were able to break down and have a strategy and be very strategic as far as how we wanted to go about the match. And I was like, yo, that's pretty dope, man. That's really cool. It's the little things like that add to a match or a story that is just like, I like that. That's really cool. But in the end, Bryan Danielson won with a double choke lock on Matt Sydal. Man, there were some other crazy spots in this match that you got to check this out, man. This was probably one of Bryan Danielson has had some amazing matches in AEW, but like this one is one of those that like low key that people are probably going to overlook. Like, oh, he had Matt Sydal. Oh, that was pretty nice. No, this wasn't nice. Like, this was a really good match. That's like, hey, run this back. Run it back one more time. This is one match you want to run back because of just the guys' experience, expertise, their skill set. Bryan Danielson being more counter submission. He's been doing that a lot lately where, if someone's trying to do their finishing move, he reverses it into a submission hold, either a leg lock or an arm bar or crossface. Matt Sydal, of course, his aerial high flying skills and stuff like that. Like, oh man, this was a fun match. I like this match. We got a video package from Hook and Danhausen, pretty much hyping up their match with Mark Sterling and Tony Nese at the buy-in for Double or Nothing. Then we get, this was probably the most entertaining part of Rampage, was the Young Bucks versus Taylor Rust and John Cruz. So the way this started was John Cruz and Taylor Rust are in the ring, and for me, I totally forgot that the Young Bucks are wrestling. I'm like, all right, tag team match, all right, whatever. And it just slipped my mind. So I hear the Hardy Boys music. I'm like, oh, cool, the Hardys are wrestling. And I look and I'm like, man, there's something off about the Hardy Boys. So you get Matt and Nick Jackson as the Hardy Boys. You get Nick Jackson as Jeff Hardy with the makeup, the shirt and everything. And you have Matt Jackson as Matt Hardy, which was hilarious. And I didn't notice this till he got his ass kicked by the Hardys, which eventually came to the ringside. So Brandon Cutler was imitating Lita, and I don't know what he was thinking. He had the thong on and the pants. Like what? That was hilarious, and of course they're mocking the Young Bucks were mocking the Hardys. They were attempting to do the Swanton and they faked it. Of course, they kept on doing Jeff Hardy's dance. Man, this was funny, man. I enjoyed this. I liked it because the Young Bucks when they're like this, they're so damn entertaining because they're such great heels. And I believe that's one thing that is lacking in AEW is those sarcastic, annoying heels that have a sense of mocking their opponent and everything, which is pretty cool. I know MJF has done it a few times, but very few heels have done that very good in AEW. Or should I say, have been doing it more frequently. You don't want to do it too much, but you just want to do it where it's just, man, this is pretty cool. So the Hardys, the Young Bucks win the match, and they're beating down and everything. And the other cool thing about this was I don't know how I forgot this. So Brandon Cutler comes out with them, but also Gangrel, which the crowd popped for that. Like I was like, yo, Gangrel is there, and it didn't dawn on me. I was like, wait a minute, you got the Hardys, you got Christian, you got Gangrel, and I'm like, man, the only dude that's missing is in WWE, Edge. It's like you'd have all 5 of those guys in AEW. It's like, oh man, that's cool. He looked really good. So after this match, the Young Bucks, they're celebrating. They take their shirts off and they look at Gangrel. They start beating them down, and then you get the actual Hardy Boys come out to make the save. They have this little discussion with Gangrel. Then they pose and everything, which was a really cool sight to see Gangrel with the Hardy Boys. For me, it brought back so many memories because I'm like, man, I remember when the Hardys, were breaking out in '99 and they were with Michael Hayes, and then they went with Gangrel as far as the New Brood, and just that whole 1999 vibe with those guys, which that was one of my favorite feuds in '99, the Hardys versus Edge and Christian. I love that feud. So cool. But yeah, this match and this whole post-match thing was, for me, this was the highlight of the whole Rampage. Seeing the Young Bucks mock the Hardys, seeing Gangrel, seeing stupid Brandon Cutler being leader, which is freaking hilarious. Whoever thought of that that's funny. Like, that's funny. I know a lot of people, oh, it's just corny. Like, no, that's pretty freaking entertaining, stuff like that. But man, for me, this was the highlight of the whole show. Then we get a backstage segment with Darby Allin, and he challenges O'Reilly. He basically says, he's like, if I don't hear an answer, I'm interfering in every Undisputed Elite's match until I get what I want. And then, of course, later on in the show, it's confirmed you're going to get Darby Allin versus Kyle O'Reilly at Double or Nothing. I believe they did confirm it. I'm not sure. But this is one thing that, man, there's like 13 matches on this card. Like, I know you want to get everyone in, but like, this is where I don't disagree with a lot of people. Like, is Tony Khan suffering burnout, or is he not burnt out, but he's going to a template that he has for himself that's a safeguard as far as, okay, we need to put a show together. All right, here, let's just take the template and, run with it. Like, there's got to be more creativity with AEW, especially with the roster and the talent that they have. This match, if you wanted Darby and Kyle O'Reilly, like, you could have had that on Rampage. Like, a few of these matches that are on Double or Nothing could have been on Rampage. You could have had the House of Black and Penta, those guys on Rampage. You could have had Jade Cargill and Anna Jay on Rampage. You could have had Darby Allin and Kyle O'Reilly on Rampage. You could have had 3 matches that are on the show on Rampage, and for whatever reason, we're getting it on Double or Nothing. And it's stuff like that. Like, don't get me wrong. The only reason I'm nitpicking is because, yes, I enjoy AEW. I'm a huge fan of AEW, but it's a pay-per-view. It's 4 hours. A lot of fans who go to AEW are not only AEW fans, we're wrestling fans, and they go to WWE, Impact, NWA, various spots. And like the one thing that maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I know many others have voiced this is like, look, man, we don't mind watching all this wrestling, but man, 4 or 5 hour pay-per-views, like, come on, man, like you got to structure this, better. WWE. Granted, I know this is an AEW review, but all these wrestling companies are included. Like WWE has 7 hours of TV. Like, utilize these wrestlers better. AEW has, Dynamite for 2 hours, Rampage for 1 hour. They have Elevation for an hour, Dark, an hour and a half or so. Like, utilize the time that you have. Like, it's beginning to be more of, okay, the first 2 years, okay, 2 years, okay, this is, all right, understanding. But now going into year 3, it's like, okay, you should know more or less how to utilize talent and space out the creativity and everything. And I've been saying it for a while that they should reformat Dark Elevation as their legit C show, where it's not a light version of AEW Dark. Like, no, this is, the stuff that you don't see on Dynamite and Rampage, you see on Elevation. And of course, I know that they taped the show before. Like, hello, like, utilize. It's like it's on a Monday. People are already complaining about, Monday Night Raw. Give something that people want to watch, and they'll watch it, and you share it online, and people like, hello, hey, I should apply to work for AEW. But getting back to the matches and the review, we get a match between Dante Martin and Max Caster. The funny thing about this match was the entrance, where Max Caster comes out, the Gun Club, Colton and Austin, they come out with Max Caster, and Max Caster does his rap, and Austin's like, he shouts the hometown, yeah, this is the Acclaimed has arrived, and boo. And Colton doesn't, boo. And then once Anthony Bowens, who is legit injured, he's in a wheelchair, and Billy Gunn wheels him out. He does it, and the crowd cheers, and Billy Gunn's laughing. And of course, Dante, he does this amazing springboard crossbody on everybody. This was an okay match. Like I said, this match, me personally, this could have been on a Dark Elevation. Like I said, you could have had the Jade Cargill match on this show. Like, I know you like creatively, man. It's like things don't make sense. Like, utilize the people that you got for. You want to stack shows with star power, not, granted, I know AEW wants to give these guys, a shot, but like, come on, man, think. Hello, like, utilize this. In the end, sorry about that. Something right here. But yeah, there was a springboard crossbody that Dante did. The Gun Club, they were eventually ejected from the match. Then we had a Falcon Nose dive for the pin. That Dante Martin, that finish was really like, oh damn, that's the finish? Okay. Dante defeated Max Caster. Like I said, man, this match should have been on Dark Elevation. Like, this should have been on Rampage. Like, this should have, like, either Darby, Jade, or even the House of Black and Death Triangle. Like they should have been like, I don't know, man. I do not get how they're putting these matches together because they're missing opportunities to really showcase uh, the star power and the most charismatic wrestlers on their roster. That's the key for AEW that I've noticed. They're really missing an opportunity to showcase their charismatic wrestlers. Not their wrestlers that, oh, they put on good matches. Like, no, you need to showcase your wrestlers that put on good matches and are charismatic because that's how you're able to have stories that can go in 10 different directions. With AEW lately, it doesn't feel like these storylines are going in 10 different directions. It looks like these storylines are just going in like some weird direction that really you don't know if it's going to come back or just go in an awkward place. Then we get video package hyping up the Samoa Joe Adam Cole Owen Hart tournament final at Double or Nothing. I'm looking forward to that match. I do think that Adam Cole and Britt Baker will win, and I think they're going to take a page out of Owen Hart when Owen Hart was, I believe he was back-to-back winner of the King of the Ring tournament, 94 and 95. He was the King of Heart. He had the Slammy Awards, whatever it was, the back-to-back Slammys, King of Hearts. I think they're going to do something like that, which at first I was like, man, I really want Samoa Joe. And I was like, you know what? Britt Baker does kind of need that because lately most of the women's division has been very bland as far as their booking. I know for myself, I'm interested in the women's division, but the way they booked it, it's like, okay, I want to see all these women wrestlers grow and just get more time, but it's like, you're not giving me anything to invest beyond, okay, it's cool to see them, but like, I want to see more. Then we get Dan Lambert, Ethan Page, and Scorpio Sky. They basically show off the new TNT title, which is customized in Lakers colors because Scorpio Sky is, of course, from Los Angeles. Then we get a cutscene of Sammy Guevara, Frankie Kazarian, and Ty Conti breaking into America's Top Team facility. They're talking crap. They're looking at awards and stuff, and Sammy breaks a glass, and Sammy, Ty, and Frankie, they still UFC belt, BMF belt, I believe that's what it was. So a bunch of MMA belts, they steal it. Scorpio Sky, he gives them an ultimatum and a challenge that if Sammy and Frankie and Ty can't beat Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, and Paige Van Zant, Sammy and Frankie can't challenge for the TNT title. Me personally, I'm all for this feud ending already. I just want Miro to come back and beat the hell out of everybody. If that's what this is leading to, Miro coming back and annihilating everyone, that would be dope. And I think if Miro does come back, I think he's coming back as a face, like, because the fans are going to cheer him. And this segment, this whole story, Ethan Page, Scorpio Sky, Dan Lambert, Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, a lot of fans aren't interested because it's just boring. Like, it's bland and boring. It's not interesting. And if you inject Miro, that man's going to get a loud reaction. And boy, oh boy, man, Miro annihilating people and his promos, woo, man, that's good. That's some gold stuff. Then we get the main events. We get the video segment of Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho with Mark Henry. And I like what she said. She's like, I've been here since the beginning, no title, so I'm not here having to prove stuff. I know who I am and I know what I deserve. So we get Chris Statlander and Ruby Soho. There was a cool Hurricanrana from the top rope on Ruby Soho. There was a dope powerbomb by Chris Statlander on Ruby Soho. I did like the jumping arm bar that Ruby Soho did on Chris Statlander. That was pretty dope. This match was pretty good up until the finish, which there was a close pinfall where Chris Statlander does her finisher, I think it was the Anadrama driver or something like that. Forgive me, guys. They're always changing their damn names. So she did her driver, and it came real close, and the crowd was like, "Oh!" And Chris Statlander is one of the few women wrestlers that she gets a huge reaction. I would say it is up there with Thunder Rosa. And there was a point where Chris Statlander, she tripped. Then Ruby Soho bounced off the opposite ropes, flipped and rolled, pinned her 1, 2, 3. Ruby Soho wins, and the crowd was not having it. They were booing her. Britt Baker came out. Ruby Soho was basically saying, I know, you don't like it, but Chris Statlander is my friend, and this. I hope this leads to a Chris Statlander heel turn. I tweeted, I hope Chris Statlander goes to the House of Black. It's there. Work-wise, she would fit a lot better than Julia Hart in the House of Black, even though they've been teasing that. For me, to go about it, Julia Hart, of course, everyone's like, oh, she should already join. If she hasn't joined already, the quick swerve you can do is have Chris Statlander beat the hell out of her not joining her, and she aligns with the House of Black. That makes sense. She fits with them. I'm all for it. But yeah, this ending was like, man, come on, man. Like, really? Like, oh, come on. And of course, Ruby Soho was talking about, I told you at Grand Slam that you got a receipt coming and so on and so on. But this is a dope AEW Rampage. But man, AEW Double or Nothing, man, 13 matches. Like, I hope, again, I will say this, I will always say this, especially for Double or Nothing, pretty much all their pay-per-views, man, that AEW has. Like, they need to have an intermission. Granted, the first 2 years you can get away with, we have these cards, but you're adding like more matches, and the matches are longer, and your pay-per-views are longer. You need to implement an intermission, because after a while, fans are not going to want to go, because they know, man, I'm going to sit there for 4.5 hours with no intermission. Granted, fans are already fatigued going to WrestleMania for 7 hours. Like, it's already in the wrestling fan psyche. Like, man, a lot of these big events, man, 5 hours. Like, come on, man. What happened to the 3-hour pay-per-view? Now it's 4 hours. Like, come on, man. Granted, AEW does their pay-per-views, quarterly, but at the same time, like, come on. And here's the thing. Not only their pay-per-views, but look, you're filming Elevation for 40 minutes, then you're shooting Dynamite for 2 hours, then you shoot Rampage for 3 hours. So technically, you're doing 4-hour shows every week. So you don't want to tire out your audience and frustrate them. Like, oh man. And then of course you don't want certain matches that should have a large crowd involvement and reaction. You don't want it to come across on TV as flat. Not because it's a bad match, it's because your crowd is tired. You don't want to tire out your crowd. So that's my main thing. Like, they should implement a intermission, and a lot of these matches could have been on tonight's Rampage. The Darby Kyle O'Reilly match could have been on Rampage. You could have done something on social media, and that's the other thing. Start utilizing your damn social media. Like, you could have had Darby post a video, Kyle O'Reilly post a video, back and forth, and then set up the match on Rampage. You could have had Jade Cargill and Anna Jay on Rampage. What? I don't know, man. It is what it is, but I'm looking forward to Double or Nothing. Hopefully CM Punk wins. But we'll see what happens at Double or Nothing. But man, this, in spite of the unusual or weird finish to the Ruby Soho match, and just how the show, for me, just came across. I enjoyed it, but it was just certain things they could have tweaked. In spite of that, it was a lot better than that other show that came on later, because that was really weird, except for the main event, which was pretty cool. But yeah, this was a pretty decent show for 1 hour, but man, AEW, you got to do better. Like, yeah, you got to do better because this is beginning to be very preventable, annoying things, if that makes sense. Like, a lot of this stuff is annoying and it's very preventable, but it is what it is. So that is my review for the AEW Rampage review for May 27th. Like, share, comment, subscribe, follow House of Wrestling on all social media platforms. Follow me, Dedrian180, on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And like I always say, and especially during these times, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world. Let's just enjoy wrestling. Enjoy it for what it is. Stop fighting with other fans over wrestling and just enjoy it and let it, for 1 hour, 2 hours, and the Sunday, the 4 hours, let us escape and just enjoy it for what it is. And hopefully it's decent. But let us enjoy and have fun. And with that,